Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in life when someone will look you in the face and without any hesitation try to diminish your worth. They may laugh at your dreams, mock your peace, question your value, or disregard your presence. And in that moment, everything inside you will want to respond from the flesh. But here's the truth. How you respond to disrespect says more about your character than their insult ever will about yours. There's a certain kind of storm that doesn't come from thunder or rain. It comes from the words of people who don't value you. It comes from the silence of those who should have stood by you but walked away instead. Disrespect has a way of shaking your spirit if you let it. But emotional stability is not about pretending you don't feel pain. It's about mastering how you respond to it. In the Bible, we are said to be slow to anger and quick to listen. That's not weakness. That's strength on a different level. Because anybody can explode. Anybody can match insult for insult. But not everyone can pause, breathe, and remain grounded in the fire. Emotional maturity is not the absence of emotions. It's the mastery of them. When you know who you are, and more importantly, whose you are, you no longer let outside chaos dictate your internal peace. Jesus sat at the table with men he knew would betray him, deny him, abandon him, and still he served them. Not because they deserved it, but because he was steady in his purpose. That's the kind of power you hold when your emotions are led by purpose and not pain. In the Bible, we are said to guard our hearts, not because we're meant to be cold, but because not every voice deserves access to our spirit. Disrespect is often not even about you. It's a reflection of their own unresolved pain, but when you internalize it, when you let it live in your mind rent-free, it starts shaping your self-pity in ways that God never intended. You don't have to let their words become your identity. You have the power to choose how you carry yourself when the world tries to shake you. The Spirit of God doesn't stir up confusion or bitterness. It produces peace, self-control, and wisdom. When someone disrespects you, that is a test of your spiritual depth. You can let their offense turn you into someone bitter, or you can let your peace remind you of your calling. Jesus didn't allow the voices of Pharisees to distract him. He didn't defend himself at every corner. He stayed emotionally anchored. He wept when he needed to. He prayed when he had to. But he didn't lose his identity over the opinions of people who never truly saw him. In the Bible, we are said that the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and our minds. That's not just a poetic phrase. That's a spiritual reality you can walk in, even in the face of dishonor. Staying emotionally stable doesn't mean you won't be hurt. It means you're rooted in something deeper than pain. It means the wind may blow, but your soul doesn't sway with every insult. It means you're so connected to the truth of who you are that nothing spoken against you can undo what God has already established within you. There are people sent into your life not to bless you, but to test you. Some come with smiles but carry daggers. Some speak peace but bring chaos. And others, no matter how much kindness you show them, will dishonor you without a second thought. It's easy to think the answer is distance or revenge, but the Spirit teaches us something deeper. It's not just about removing toxic people. It's about handling them in a way that keeps your soul clean while your boundaries stay firm. In the Bible, we are said to overcome evil with good, not because evil deserves goodness, but because you deserve peace. Spiritual strength doesn't mean tolerating abuse. It means responding with wisdom. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. When Jesus was mocked, spit on, and falsely accused, he had every right to call down fire, but he didn't. Not because he couldn't, but because his purpose was greater than his pride. He had nothing to prove to people who already made up their minds. That's how you rise above dishonor. You don't shrink and you don't explode. You outgrow it. You stay steady while others lose control. Handling dishonor spiritually means you don't get infected by the spirit that came to contaminate your peace. There are some battles you win not by fighting, but by standing. In the Bible, we are said to stand firm, clothed in truth and righteousness. That means there's a posture of grace you can walk in that keeps your heart from turning bitter. You don't let their dishonor change your nature. You let it reveal your strength. There's a difference between removing yourself and running away. Spiritual people don't run, they release. They don't chase, they choose. You can love someone and still limit their access to your peace. Jesus ministered to thousands, but he only walked closely with a few. That wasn't pride, that was discernment. You don't let everyone into the most sacred parts of your heart, especially not those who only come to take and never to honor. In the Bible, we are said not to cast our pearls before swine. It's not harsh, it's holy, it's wisdom to protect the grace God placed in you. You may feel like the dishonor broke something in you, but spiritually, what it actually did was surface what still needed healing. Let it refine you, not define you. Let it drive you closer to God, not deeper into your anger. Pray for those who dishonor you, not because they deserve it to stay light, but because bitterness will chain you to the offense, but forgiveness will free you to rise. The spiritual way is not the easy way, but it is the most powerful. Anyone can retaliate, but it takes true strength to handle dishonor without becoming dishonorable. It takes real anointing to walk in peace while surrounded by betrayal. But that's exactly the kind of strength God is building in you. The kind that doesn't just survive disrespect, it transforms it into fuel for your destiny. Not every disrespect deserves a response. Not every rude comment needs a clapback. In a world that praises quick comebacks and loud retaliation, silence has become one of the most underrated strengths a person can carry. But silence isn't weakness, it's control, it's discernment. It's knowing that sometimes the loudest statement you can make is no statement at all. In the Bible, we are said to be still and know that God is God. That stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the most powerful thing, trusting God to handle what your words cannot fix. When someone is rude to you, your flesh wants to react. Your pride wants to answer back. But the Spirit often whispers, be quiet, step back, guard your peace. Silence is not submission to disrespect. It's submission to wisdom. There's power in restraint. There's strength in choosing not to let someone else's chaos become your character. Jesus could have spoken during his trial. He could have defended himself in front of people who mocked and lied about him. But he stayed quiet, not because he was powerless, but because he was focused. He had nothing to prove to people who already chose to misunderstand him. Your silence tells the world that your identity isn't up for debate, that your peace is more valuable than their opinion, that your energy is too precious to waste on people who feed off your reaction. In the Bible, we are said that even a fool is considered wise when they remain silent. That kind of silence, it's not just spiritual, it's strategic. And boundaries are the walls you build to protect the garden of your soul. They are not about shutting people out. They're about keeping the sacred in. Not everyone deserves access to your mind, your heart, or your presence. Boundaries don't make you unloving. They make you clear. Jesus had boundaries. He didn't spend time explaining himself to every Pharisee. He didn't overextend to convince people who had no intention of believing. He healed and helped, but he also withdrew and rested. In the Bible, we are said to guard our hearts above all else because everything flows from it. And you cannot guard your heart if you're letting rudeness walk in and sit down at your table every day. There are people who will try to bait you, pull you into arguments, provoke a reaction, but when you've built spiritual boundaries, their behavior doesn't shake you. You no longer let emotional immaturity drag you out of your place of peace. You can look at someone's disrespect and say nothing, not because you're broken, but because you're healed. Because silence speaks louder than anger when it's rooted in wholeness. You are not obligated to entertain every attitude, respond to every jab, or fix every misunderstanding. Sometimes the most Christ-like thing you can do is walk away, keep your dignity, and protect your atmosphere. When you understand the value of your spirit, you won't waste it on people who don't understand the weight of your presence.
There's a moment when someone says something
and in that
slick,
silence and those boundaries, you'll find not only peace,
in disrespect, and in that
power.
split second, your emotions flare up like fire. You feel it in your chest, your hands, your voice, the urge to defend yourself, to correct them, to prove your worth rises fast. But that's the moment you must decide. Will I let my emotions lead, or will I let wisdom speak? In the Bible, we are said that a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That means your tone can shift an atmosphere. Your reaction can escalate a moment or calm it. And the one with real power is the one who can choose peace in the heat of conflict. Responding with wisdom doesn't mean you don't feel things. It means you've trained yourself not to be ruled by what you feel. Emotional reactions might feel satisfying for a second, but they often create damage that takes months to repair. Wisdom looks ahead. Wisdom says, "My peace costs too much to lose it for free." When your spirit is anchored, you don't respond just to win the argument. You respond to protect your atmosphere, your purpose, your calling. Jesus didn't come down off the cross to argue with the people who put him there. He stayed focused. He stayed surrendered. And that surrender wasn't weakness, it was divine restraint. The deeper your peace, the less noise can shake you. When you carry peace that isn't based on circumstances, people stop having the power to control your day. In the Bible, we are said to seek peace and pursue it. That means peace isn't passive, it's intentional. It's a choice you make in how you speak, how you respond, and how you protect your heart. There's nothing more powerful than a person who refuses to let chaos decide their next move. A person who's been through storms and still knows how to stand in calm. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is pause. Not everything needs a response right now. Not every insult deserves a reply. You don't have to prove your worth to people who never valued it to begin with. That's the trap thinking if you just explain yourself better, they'll respect you. But wisdom knows that some people are committed to misunderstanding you. And when you know that, you stop wasting your breath trying to fix what only God can heal in them. Wisdom sees the bigger picture. It reminds you that this moment of disrespect is not the end of your story. It's just a test. A test to see if you'll let your emotions detour your destiny. And when you pass that test, something grows in you: strength, clarity, maturity. You stop being reactive and start being rooted. You begin to walk like someone who knows the King, not just someone who quotes him. And when that wisdom flows out of you, peace follows behind it. You don't chase peace, it lives in you. And wherever you go, it goes with you. There is no greater example of how to handle dishonor than Jesus. From the very beginning of his ministry, he faced rejection, criticism, gossip, and betrayal. The people he came to save were the same ones who mocked his identity. His own hometown questioned his calling. Religious leaders accused him of being demonic. His closest friends fell asleep during his deepest hour of sorrow, and yet he never let their dishonor distract him from his divine purpose. He didn't collapse under their words. He didn't waste time trying to earn the respect of those who chose not to see him. He stayed focused. He stayed obedient. He stayed true to his mission. In the Bible, we are said that Jesus was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, but he carried himself with unwavering peace, with holy confidence, with inner stillness. He knew that purpose doesn't require applause. It requires endurance. You don't need everyone to believe in you to fulfill your calling. You just need to believe in the one who called you. Jesus didn't seek validation from the crowd. He sought intimacy with the Father. That's where he drew his strength. That's how he kept walking when the noise got loud. That's how he stayed silent when false accusations flew like arrows. When Jesus stood before Pilate, stripped of dignity and covered in wounds, he didn't argue to defend himself. He didn't plead for fairness. He didn't explain who he was. He didn't beg for respect. Why? Because he knew who he was. Because he wasn't trying to protect his image. He was fulfilling his assignment. And when your purpose becomes more important than your pride, you stop letting dishonor define your direction. You stop reacting to every insult, and you start walking with divine discipline. The power in Jesus' response wasn't just in what he said, it was in what he refused to say. That kind of restraint is spiritual maturity. That kind of silence is not empty, it's full of authority. In the Bible, we are said to walk in the same attitude Christ had, one of humility and surrender. That doesn't mean weakness. That means power under control. That means knowing you could react, but choosing instead to rise. Jesus loved even when he wasn't loved back. He washed the feet of a man who would betray him. He broke bread with someone who would deny him. He prayed for the ones who nailed him to a cross. That's not just compassion, that's divine conviction. That's what it looks like when purpose overrides pain, when identity overrides insult, when love overrides ego. So if you've ever felt dismissed, devalued, or dishonored, remember the one who faced all of that and still fulfilled every part of his purpose. He didn't need to be honored to be obedient. He didn't need the crowd to believe in him to change the world. He just needed to stay aligned with heaven. And that's exactly what you're called to do. Keep walking, keep forgiving, keep building. Let their dishonor become your discipline. Let their rejection remind you you're walking in the footsteps of the greatest to ever walk through fire and still love. There's something deep inside of you that can't be touched by opinions, labels, or rejection, and that something is your God-given value. Too many people walk around broken, not because they've been physically wounded, but because they've internalized someone else's failure to see their worth. You were never created to depend on the approval of people who can't even recognize their own identity. In the Bible, we are said that we are fearfully and wonderfully mad, not occasionally, not when people say nice things, not when you feel confident, but always. That means your value is rooted in who formed you, not in who failed you.